Does Rolling Rock fall in the pantheon of recognizable, widely known beers? Is it any good? In this video, we're going to answer both of those questions.
It's a Rolling Rock. That's a good beer. It's the best around.
It is still my beer. I fucking love it.
What is up, friends? Welcome back to the Authority on Beer on YouTube. That's right, you're watching the Treehouse Brewing Company YouTube channel. And today we are taking a look at Rolling Rock. Not only taking a look at it, we're going to drink it. Rolling Rock, to me, when I look at it, kind of feels simple, familiar, and almost maybe forgettable at first glance. But the truth is, the deeper you go into the history, kind of the weirder and more interesting it becomes. Now, Rolling Rock famously launched in 1939 out of Latrobe, Pennsylvania, a small town just outside of Pittsburgh. Now, that timing thing definitely matters, because just a few years earlier in 1933, Prohibition had come to an end. And like a lot of breweries across America, the Latrobe Brewing Company is in its rebooting form. They had originally been founded back in 1893 and shut down during Prohibition, only to be revived by the Tito family shortly after repeal. This is part of the first generation of American beers coming back after a 13-year shutdown of the entire brewing and distilling industry. Now, for the beer itself, Rolling Rock was designed as an extra pale lager, light, crispy, and easy drinking. It clocks in around 4.4%, and from the beginning, it's been positioned as a clean, refreshing, everyday beer. But what really made it stand out wasn't just the liquid, it was everything about the story surrounding it. One of the biggest early selling points was how it was brewed. Now, Rolling Rock leaned heavily into the idea that it was made using soft mountain spring water and brewed in glass-lined tanks, which at the time were considered the most advanced type of fermentation vessels. They boasted from the glass-lined tanks of Old Latrobe. Now, that became part of the DNA of the brand and remains to this day. Rolling Rock is associated with purity, consistency, and almost this romantic Pennsylvania origin story. By the 1950s, Rolling Rock really started to take off, especially regionally. What was the key? The key was actually a 7-ounce pony bottle, which became wildly popular, and by 1952, it's actually one of the best-selling pony bottles in the country. Shout out Little Kings. And this is where Rolling Rock builds its reputation as a working-class barroom beer, something small, something affordable, something easy to knock back. And for decades, Rolling Rock is essentially a regional Pennsylvania powerhouse. But over time, it expanded distribution and became a nationally recognized beer, which it remains to this day, helped by consistent branding and that unmistakable green bottle. And while other beers compete on flavor, Rolling Rock competes on its identity. So back in the day, also a big part of intrigue around Rolling Rock was the number 33, which had been printed on every bottle, which as far as I can tell is no longer printed on the bottle, but no one's been able to solve that mystery, but there's a lot of theories. Mine is that they were acknowledging Larry Legend, shout out number 33 Boston Celtics, but probably not. Another idea is that it was the end year of Prohibition, which was 1933. Another person had guessed that it's the number of words of quality in the pledge on the bottle. It's the number of steps that it takes you to get across the brewery. It's the number of water springs feeding that famous water supply. It's the ideal temperature that you want to drink it. It's a lucky horse bet. Nobody knows. All that said, that number 33 mystery is one that had been a huge source of intrigue for Rolling Rock and remains to this day. But mystery aside, the generally accepted idea is that it was the marking of a 33-word slogan and mistakenly ended up on the label and then just kind of stayed there forever until they took it off. But anyway, even the company never locked into a single explanation, which is the most genius part of it all, because that mystery became a huge part of the marketing in the middle of the 20th century. Now fast forward to the late 20th century and Rolling Rock changed hands multiple times. In 1987, it was sold to Labatt. Then it was absorbed into Interbrew, which later became InBev. And then in 2006, the brand was sold to Anheuser-Busch for around $82 million. Now, shortly after the sale, production moved out of Latrobe to Newark, New Jersey, everybody's favorite airport in New Jersey, right? Everybody loves Newark. The final batch brewed in Latrobe shipped out of the brewery in July of 2006. And for a lot of people, that marked the end of what they considered the OG real Rolling Rock. There were boycotts that were organized because of the move. I don't know if that really happened, but if you're out there, if you're one of the guys that boycotted and got mad about Rolling Rock moving from Latrobe to New Jersey, leave us a note in the comments. Today, Rolling Rock remains owned by Anheuser-Busch InBev, one of the largest brewing conglomerates in the world. It's still positioned as an affordable, easy drinking lager. Rolling Rock actually shows up everywhere in movies, TVs, bars across the Northeast and the Midwest. and it's become a certain kind of symbol of American drinking culture. Simple, unpretentious, crushable, and maybe not that good. But we're going to talk about that in just a second. Let's dive into this baby, see what we got, and I'll give you my true feelings on whether or not Rolling Rock tastes as good as you might think. All right, on the bottle, Rolling Rock. You guys know on the channel know how much I love the word premium. So Rolling Rock, do words even have meaning anymore? I mean, if everything is premium, is anything premium? Anyway, premium is on the label, premium beer. There's a horse on the label, 4 stars. All right, so the horse is prominently featured on the bottle, and I think that comes from one of the original owners having a horse by the name of Old Latrobe. Made its way onto the bottle very prominently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And then behind, you kind of have this like classic, like almost kind of looks like could look like a Costco sign, but it says Rolling Rock. You know what I mean? It's got that like side of the road, like strip mall energy, which is a little bit weird in the design there, but the beer looks really refreshing in the bottle. It looks very light, and it looks like we're in for what we're promised, which is an extra pale, crushable lager, Rolling Rock. Let's see what we got. Guys, we are celebrating 70,000 subscribers on the channel. As always, we thank you for your viewership, for your likes, your comments, and most importantly, your subscription. So if you're not a subscriber to the channel, now is a great time to do it before we dive into the taste of the legendary Rolling Rock. Pretty beer in the glass. Clean, filtered yellow. Shout out to the crew here by giving me a super clean glass. We got no bubbles on there. It's looking really, really good. Uncle Devin over there getting it done. Boy, it looks tasty, I have to tell you. It's been hot here in central Massachusetts in early spring. Crispy beers are on the menu for the summer of 2026. Does Rolling Rock something that I want to gravitate to? Quick little riff of the aroma right there. Not the best. Definitely some skunk going on now. The reason, anytime you use hops in a beer, exposure to any amount of UV light will create an oxidative reaction, which will result in that skunkiness. If you have an amber colored bottle next to a green bottle, next to a light bottle, and you expose that to UV light, the one that doesn't have amber or less light penetrating capabilities is going to have more of that skunky aroma. And right away, this guy has a skunky aroma, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing, and often associated with Corona and Rolling Rock and beers that are in lighter bottle formats. Hard to overcome the pungency of the skunk in the Rolling Rock. All right, here we go. Solid. I mean, not terrible. Really mild. Really mild. In terms of like the 4% to 4.5% lighter lagers that we've had on the channel from the mass market, this one really hits that like not a lot going on note. Like not a lot going on. Little bit of skunk on the aroma, little bit of herbal hop on the nose, virtually no bitterness. If you don't like any bitterness in your beer, this is one of the least bitter beers I think we've had on the channel. Yeah, like nothing sticks around. You get a little bit of oxidative hop character, a little bit of grainy malts, and then it's just gone. Gonzo. I don't have any after flavor. I don't have any lingering bitterness. I don't have any lingering off flavor. I'm not getting any oxidative notes. I'm not getting any cardboard. That skunkiness does come through on the flavor. But in terms of kind of mass market lagers, I would say this one kind of falls somewhere right in the middle. The way that I would describe it the most succinctly would be that I think that it's one of the milder, easier drinking, least offensive things you could possibly drink. There's just not a lot going on. There's not a lot to comment on. There's not a lot of flavor notes, subtle graininess, mild earthy hop, a little bit of skunkiness, very little aftertaste, not a lot of sweetness, which is nice. A lot of times these light beers, these light pale lagers can have heavy sweetness. Like it's surprising. A beer like Bud Light will actually give me like a heavy sweetness that makes it hard to drink, which is counterintuitive. This doesn't have that, which is actually kind of nice. So in the scope of macro, iconic, old school light lagers, this one is fine. All right, guys, that's it for today. Rolling Rock. There's a lot to come on the channel, so if you're not already subscribed, getting subscribed is a huge help. You guys probably know more about Rolling Rock's history than I ever will, so leave your thoughts in the comments, and as always, your likes are appreciated. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day.